Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Chart Sniper again with a weekend review of the overall markets. And yeah, what a week it was last week. And let's deep dive into what exactly happened last week and how our predictions came true and what is in line for the future week, upcoming week. Okay. So with that, let's get started in looking at the SPY weekly. So what I mentioned in the last weekend video was this is a short trading week and typically short trading weeks ends up being flat. Okay. So what exactly happened? This is the week and this was the week beginning, right? The week beginning was here in the SPY and then it started falling and kind of broke all the supports, right? And suddenly it started picking up, and ultimately it came back to the same level as the week started. So there was a lot of drama. Again, it was accompanied by the Ukraine uncertainties and the war, all this kind of news. But the buyers saw it as a very good opportunity to kind of buy the dip and make some quick profit out of it. Okay. So typically, yeah, these kind of weeks, whatever action that happens in the beginning of the week will be undone at the end of the week. So with that being said, let's look at how it looks on weekly. On weekly, the candle says it's a lot of buying pressure was there, but overall, more or less, it ended up the week at the same place where it started. Okay. So what's happening here is we made a lower low. We still are not able to make a higher high. And this lower low was bought very quickly. And we, based on the previous retracement that happened in January, a bounce of two-third happened. And then a pullback up almost to 1.272 extension exactly happened. Okay, so these numbers are, Fibonacci retracements. And if someone heard about them and someone do not start believing in them, you better start believing in them because out of the entire down move in January, it bounced back almost 61.8 retracement for twice. And then when it started pulling back, it pulled back to 1.272 extension and started bouncing back again. Okay. So what gives us is, if this was a bear flag, okay, the big down move and some consolidation downwards, and then it should try to retrace as much as it can the same move from here, and that takes us to this yellow channel. Okay, so we have still some more levels to kind of down to visit, and so this was a quick bounce out of extremely oversold conditions, but are we out of the woods yet? So that's the question, right? And also, are we back again bullish in bullishness? So that's the question. So nothing happened in the long-term perspective. Weekly, it just came back to the same levels as it started. So what is the major direction before that, before this week? Ignoring completely whatever action this week, what was the major direction? The major direction is pointing downward, right? So this oversold conditions were just kind of quickly neutralized. But I believe we might bounce a little bit for third day and probably then give back away. Okay, the real bullishness does not start until unless we broke down this above this trend line. Okay, so that is without any moving averages, just looking at price action and trying to see, it consistently making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so that's a clear trend of bearishness. So that is with respect to psi. Let's quickly overlay some moving averages and see what exactly is happening there, right? So we were extremely down. This is the 200 days average, 445. Okay, and as the time progresses, probably it aligns with the channel resistance. That is the level that we are looking at, and this blue line is the middle Bollinger Band, which is 20 days average around 443. Okay, so those two are some resistances for now, 443 and 445. 443 aligns with this trend line that it broke out, right? So let me cover probably in yellow, right? So that was the trend line. It broke, forming a head and shoulders pattern. It realized more than actually, what the implied price target is for the head and shoulder target, and it's bouncing back. Okay, and now that is the resistance 443. Okay, so in the very long term perspective, very long term perspective, we can take and go back and look at what exactly this is doing, right? It's price action from March lows, SPY pull back to, let me get the coefficients back on this side. So it is still only in the 23.6 retracement there. Okay, so what it means is, there is a potential for it to move back all the way to 38.2. Why am I saying that? Why it could move back to the 38.2, right? Because that's what QQQ already did it. Okay, so QQQ was a 23.28.3 retracement. Let me get these coefficients back on the left. Okay, and what it did in just this week, it moved quickly from 23.6 to 38.2. Okay, um, so that's quite possible, and still, as long as it stays above this level, overall market is still bullish. Okay, so it SPY at least has a lot of wiggle room to move down further, even until 380, and still stay bullish in the long term perspective. Okay, so that's at a very long term. What even though it's still a lot of down move, in the very long term perspective, 23.6% retracement is nothing. Okay. Um, with that being said, let's go back to our charts. Anything that we need to take out from here. Okay. So as long as it is below 200 days average, no, we are not bullish. We are clearly in a bearish sign. As long as the moving average, 20 days average, below 20 days average, we are clearly in a bearish trend. Okay, so there is no need for you, whoever missed this kind of bounce, to kind of go and add here. Okay, so still the patience needs to be exhibited, and careful carefully getting into the stocks, especially for your if you're playing for a long term, you need to be still very careful here. These kind of bounces are very common, and especially when it moves extreme to the extreme levels. But those doesn't mean, we kind of are completely out of the woods. The volume was considerably higher and this bounce, but when we go and look at the RSI, it did not do much. So it is still in the downtrend, continuously kind of hitting. It just came back at the level. It did not even go above 50%. Okay, so we need to still see some kind of bounce above 200, stay about it for at least, for some more days of action before we could trust that, it could go back higher. Okay, the only thing probably which gives it more legs to go higher is the war coming to stop. Okay, I don't think that is yeah, I don't think the probability of it is so high as of now. Okay, that's about QQQ, about SPY, and a decent bounce to end the week in flat, but still in a bearish trend. So long-term perspective, we broke down these now September and October levels. Try to gain back again now. So we have to see. Okay. So with that being said, let's move to QQQ. How exactly it is looking. So obviously, you know that QQQ is actually reacting a little bit ahead of SPY, and whatever price action that you see in QQQ, um, it is actually leading the market down more intensely than overall SPY. Okay, So QQQ pullback from the very long-term perspective to 38.2 retracement almost, and it has established this channel. It has not retraced the complete down move of January yet. So if it starts pulling back again, right, and it could revisit these levels and to form a very long-term bottom around this price level. Okay, so we will if there is a further pullback, which I think it would be. Um, this will be visiting around these levels and try to form some base here around 38.2 retracement. Okay, so I don't see any great news as such that let the market bounce. So it might bounce to this channel resistance and also back of this green line that we drew which got broken recently. So let's let it come back to this level and then fizzle out, and then that will be a position where you'll be um, playing for a bounce for a long-term perspective. Okay, laying over averages, very similar to actually very uh, it's not that great when it compares to SPY. The 200 days is around 365, 368 level, right? And middle Bollinger Band is on 352 level. So still it can bounce back to middle 352 and then give off completely. Okay. We have to wait and see what exactly it does. For scalpers, for quick players, in and out players, this is a market that they can make a lot of money out. I mean, they might lose some money, but for sure they can make a lot of money out of this as long as they know these levels and they are playing correctly, understanding the overall trend. But as of now, from long-term swing perspective, we just need to wait for it to kind of reduce this volatility a little bit. Okay, you can't, from swing perspective, these kind of moves to the downward or upward, they are not acceptable. Okay, especially when you get caught on the wrong side. So we want it to kind of have some reduced volatility. So coming week, whatever we'll have, probably will try to do that. It will try to reduce volatility a little bit, which means you may see a lot of sideways consolidation here. Okay, then big moves up or down, and then further there will be some kind of decision made, mostly like consolidation like you saw here. Okay, after this big bounce move you saw some consolidation here, right? That's probably will be happening the entire next week. So if you are a big call buyer and put buyer, be careful. You might get into a soup if you play directionally, swing it especially. Okay, so with that in mind, yeah, look nice to see this guy bounce, but that's probably a bounce to sell the pop. Okay, and in the same way as SPY, the RSI has not made a relatively newer high when compared to this trend line, so it is still in bearish mode, and we are talking about at 44 levels. Okay, 45 levels, still below 50. Okay, so nothing out of the woods yet. So when we take this entire down move, now that we got a new low and we take this entire move, so based on this entire move from the all-time highs to here, we can bounce back up to this 368 levels easily and still stay bearish. Okay, so let's get another perspective here. So what we are looking at is we are looking at a cipher pattern that I noticed in SPY and QQQ. So it pulled back, bounced back up to 61.8 retracements exactly, and then it retraced, made a new lower low around 1.218 extension, and now it could bounce back all the way to almost 465. Okay, this pattern allows it room to kind of bounce back all the way, but before that happens, I mean, we have to go one step at a time. So before that happens, we still have this excuse me, we still have this downtrend line. That's the first resistance, right? And we have the cloud as second resistance. And then if it manages to go above the cloud crazily, then you'll be looking at, a very, very major resistance at around 360, 465. How does that align with our thing 460? Sorry, SPY 465. SPY 465, I think it test backs this yellow channel. That is the constructive channel that it had, right? Around 465, that level. 462, 465 level. Okay, so that 465 level is what where it slightly goes above this level and then pukes again. So that could be the major resistance level. But before that, we need to cross this channel high around 445, and then we need to cross that cloud. Okay. Again, from QQQ perspective, also very similar pattern where it bounced exactly 50%, zero point 0.5, and then it extended down to 1.28. And the cipher pattern, if it follows, it has room to go all the way to 380, 385, okay, and still be bearish. Okay, so the 385 on QQQ level will come back to retest of this range. Okay, so these levels here around that one. Okay, but again, there are a lot of things that have to happen before that, which is like 350. It has to cross the channel high, and in addition to that, it has to cross that cloud that yeah, forming up resistance. And if you can see, the cloud is deep red, so overall the trend is kind of still very bearish. Yeah, so at an outset, I'm foreseeing some consolidatory week next week, and let's go and look at how IWM is doing. So when we come to IWM, that is the leading risk mitigator, like risk avoid risk, right? So a lot of people, when there is a lot of uncertainties, these small caps have come up with a lot of risk, and that's what the price action in small caps reflects early to any potential risk, right? So we had this downtrend, okay, the red line that you see, and the slope of it is kind of at certain level, but then from that slope red line we are becoming even steeper, this yellow line. So as long as that steepness is increasing to downward, that means clear bearishness sign. Nothing out of the woods yet, just undid couple of last week's move there, still bearish. It has to cross this 200, 203 level, and then it has to cross this 210 level to kind of turn bullish. Okay, but that forms a double bottom there with the context of around 185. Dow Jones. Dow Jones completely retraced the channel before any other things, right? So let me go back. So clear price move, retraced that Jan move, and now it started bouncing back middle of the channel, and there is still some more room for it to go all the way here and still be bearish, like 350 level. So nothing looks that constructive, and this couple of days bounce is probably taking in the entire next week's price action quickly, and then there will be some consolidation here. That's what I primarily see, like very similar consolidation like this. Okay. So let's quickly look at VIX. VIX, even despite that sell-off, right? Despite that sell-off from around 36.2, um, we still have not seen it move below 25 range, right? So it's still very high, very elevated. And whenever the market does that next puke downward, ultimately it might hit that level, higher level 45-ish very quickly. And then that probably will be another that probably will be um, the resistance for now. So please be patient next week, and then if there is market goes one leg lower, that's where we will see VIX finding that hitting that resistance trend line and probably giving up more than this 27.5 there. Okay. SKEW is around 132. Yeah, it's not reflecting overall what is happening in the market and the craziness yet. So let's go and directly see put call ratio around 1, still very elevated, which means a lot of people bought puts, and just because there are so many puts sold, okay, the market might stay around and neutralize it for some time at the same levels to burn those puts, and then further when no one is expecting, it might do that puke again. Okay, so this is just my considerations. I do not, until unless it reclaims some of these averages, which is critically 200 days average, and moves above certain, breaks down the pattern of lower highs, we can't call this as bullish. So quickly, let's look at weekly how things are coming along before we conclude this index review. I'll be doing another stocks review video after this. So I would like to keep it separate so that the video are not longer. And let's quickly lay over averages, and let's see what exactly is happening here. Okay. So that is the 50 weeks average, still below 50 weeks average, below 5, 8, below every average, I would say. Okay, there's nothing constructive here. Uh, we can test that 50 weeks average level around 440, 438.9 and then get rejected. Okay, so but still it's staying above the cloud for now, so which is good. QQQ, similar kind of price action below 50 weeks average around 360.9, below 5 weeks average too. So that bounce, it says nothing about the upcoming direction, but we exactly touched the 100 weeks average just like that on a weekly basis, and we are sandwiched now between that 50 and 100, and we might be sandwiched in between that for some more time. Okay, so these averages, these Fibonacci retracement work, the cloud works, so use that to navigate that. As long as it is in the cloud, it's just noise. Okay, so with that, be cautious next week. It's primarily can be consolidatory week or sideways action, and probably reach the channel. Okay, and then will make a decision. Okay, no directional plays unless you're scalping or day trading. No swing trades. It's not recommended. Okay, at one point we were down 20%, and now we are back to 15%, but still it's kind of in a negative trend. Thank you very much for tuning in to this video, and yeah, see you in another stocks review video, and uh, until next week. Okay, play safe with this volatile market. Thanks. Bye.